Hello everyone. As part of our week 4 task, I would like to show you a brief compilation of some of the characteristics of the that are easily observable in kids or persons that are diagnosed in the autism spectrum disorder. And I'd like to briefly discuss some of them. And I know most of the PowerPoints that you have probably seen are those. It has some of the characteristics that I'm going to discuss as well. But before that, I'd like to go over the definition of ASD as it is being defined by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and it says here autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, is a developmental disability that can cause significant social, communication, and behavioral challenges. There is often nothing about how people with ASD look that sets them apart from other people, but people with ASD may communicate, interact, behave, and learn in ways that are different from most other people. The learning, thinking, and problem-solving abilities of people with ASD can range from gifted to severely challenged. Some people with ASD needs a lot of help in their daily lives, while others need less. So a diagnosis of ASD now includes several conditions that used to be diagnosed separately, which includes the autistic disorder, pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, or it has an acronym PDD-NOS, and also the Asperger syndrome. So they are now under the big umbrella of autism spectrum disorder. So let me go over some of the behavioral and sensory characteristics that we often see in persons that are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. So they engage in repetitive movements or unusual behaviors such as flapping, and it might not just be flapping, it can be any other unusual or repetitive motor activities such as jumping, hopping, tapping, and any other motor activity. They may be preoccupied with parts of objects, very unusual ones, like they like to play with lids, they like to flip over cars and play with the wheels. Obsessively interested in a particular topic, and they might be persevering in just one topic that they like. For example, if they are into the solar system, and they will talk about that over and over again. They thrive in so much routine. So if there are changes in their routine, they have a very maladaptive way of reacting towards it. Some of them can have emotional outbursts. They can have temper tantrums. And in my classroom, several times I would see kids that would just totally shut down when their routine is when their routine is out. Like, if for example, if we suddenly have fire drills, we have assemblies, and since I come from New Mexico, I remember we had several snow days, and that just throws my kids off, and routine's just their thing. As much as we want to stick through our routine all throughout the day, but it's just impossible at times. And so some of them also have some self-injurious behaviors, and attention is something that is very challenging for them. Some of them can be hyper focusing on stuff, or they can have great distractibility. And what can be very challenging is that they can't focus in their work. They they just have a hard time in class. They can't be in one place at one time. They're too distracted. They see all the bees and the birds and everything else that's going on. So cognitive and neurological characteristics includes, like I was saying, um, some of the kids with ASD can be very gifted, but some of them can be very challenged or severely challenged as well. They have motor impairment, either gross motor and fine motor. Some of the kids that I remember having gross motor have to have physical therapy working with them, or they can also have like adapted PE, so they can participate in physical education in the classroom. And also, for fine motor, I have the occupational therapist working with them on how to be able to write, hold their pencils properly, color. Some of them don't really have the motor skills to be able to hold the pencil right. And so that's something that the OT will be working on. And some of them have repetitive behaviors. Parents also reported that some of them have sleep disorders, meaning they have weird schedules, sleeping schedules, like they sleep very early or very late, and they don't sleep all night long. They wake up like in the weird hours of the night, and their sleep routine is just totally off. Some of them have epilepsy and seizures, while some are totally visible. We can see that going on. But some have very mild forms of epilepsy and seizures. And so this disrupts their whole neurological system in their body. And so that's something that doctors often see in kids with autism spectrum disorder. Communication and language, they have some of the definitions or the characteristics that we see is that children fail to respond to their names. They only interact with others to achieve specific goals. They do not understand how to play or engage with other children. So they pretty much like to do parallel play or they just play by themselves. And they also have difficulty understanding other people's feelings. Like they don't have an understanding of what being happy means. They don't have an understanding of we being anxious is totally the same as being sad. So even if they're just anxious, they feel that they have to be sad and they start crying. So there's no like demarcation in between of exactly what kind of feelings they have to be feeling. And also they don't see that or understand that when it comes from other people as well. So some of them have verbal abilities, some of them have no speech at all, and or if speech is totally fluent. Like I remember I saw a video on YouTube, and it was about a child that had no verbalization until he was around 3 years old, and the parents were shocked because he started saying sentences and he was very fluent with them. And but that's all he can say, sentences that were totally inappropriate, and some of them were just totally um, awkward, awkward, very awkward speech as well. And like I was saying, some of them have delay in speech and language skills. They like to repeat phrases. Like I have a student that loves to watch SpongeBob, and just on random occasions he would say some SpongeBob phrases, and he thrives in that. On days there, I mean, in just any occasion, any time of the day, he would say some SpongeBob lines that were totally just out of the blue. And they also give unrelated answers to questions. They have a hard time understanding nonverbal cues, like frowning. They don't really understand that. They like when you put your finger in front of your lips, that means that you have to be quiet, but they don't really understand because that's a nonverbal cue. Some social characteristics include not looking at objects when another person points at them, having trouble relating to others or not having an interest or other people at all. Oh, I think I have a typo here. It says have trouble relating to others or not having interest on other people at all. That should be on, not are. And also they avoid eye contact as much as they can. They don't really like looking to other people's eyes. And if you tell them, look at me straight, they will not. They will try their best not to look at you straight. And also, they prefer not to be held or cuddled, or might cuddle only when they want to. And this is very, I've read a lot of studies on this, especially for kids that are toddler age, and they don't want to be held at all. They don't want to be touched at all. And also, they appear to be unaware when people talk to them but responds to other sounds. Like they can be very hypersensitive to other sounds. They can hear the buzzing from the fluorescent lights, but when you call them, they might not respond to you. Or very simple noises that we might not hear in any given moment, but for them it might be way too sharp, so they react to some of that. And so those are some of the characteristics about kids and this the spectrum. But I'd like to emphasize that as much as we have all those characteristics presented, not all of the kids who have autism spectrum disorder exhibit those characteristics. Like I was saying, every people is unique, every child is unique. So for some kids, it might be you might see this in one autistic kid, but for other kids, it might not be present. And so it varies from one child with autism syndrome to another child that has autism syndrome as well. So those are some of the basic stuff. And when when they give me kids with autism, I it I just have that thinking in mind that it's gonna be another person that's totally unique, and it's gonna be another person that I have to like really understand and really get to know a lot deeper before being able to give myself a generalization of what this kid is all about. It's because, like I would say, kids can be very unique, and all autistic kids are different from each other, and there's no one autistic kid that is alike to another autistic kid. And so, I think I'm gonna end on that note, and thank you so much.